Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A very good day to you and a blessed Eid Mubarak to all our viewers. As we celebrate this joyous occasion of Eid al-Fitr, we're honored to share the stories and traditions of the Cape Malay community. I'm very proud to introduce our guest today, who is a vibrant community member, and we'll be exploring some of the common traditions and customs that bring people together up until Eid Day. So it's not just on the day of Eid, it culminates to that day, alhamdulillah. We'll also be discussing her experiences of doing relief work in Palestine, something that is extremely close to our hearts at the moment. And yes, she had some experience of the last 10 days of Ramadan, as well as Palestine, and rather Eid al-Fitr in Palestine, and the impact it has on their perspective of this special time. So do join us as we delve into this rich cultural heritage of the Cape Malay society, the Cape Malay community, and humanitarian efforts of our guests. Now let's welcome Auntie Nadia. Shukran so much for joining us.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Gouwah. It's an absolute pleasure to be in the studio.
The last time we chatted was Hajj period, and you know, when we talk on air, online, there's this distance that you just can't feel comfortable about having a conversation. But this is much more relaxing. It's the beautiful day of Eid, and looking forward to this conversation.
A blessed Eid to all our viewers. Subhanallah.
So let's kick off. And when we chatted on the phone, I said to you, Auntie Nadia, you're just such a busy person. I'm even surprised I had time to get you to come to the studio. But yes, the Cape Malays community is, I'm proudly Cape Malay, and it's something that I often tell people, no, it's Labarang. You know, they don't know it's Labarang up in Joburg. So yes, commonly known as Labarang. We have Labarang and Labarang Haji. Yes. Eid al-Fitr, we don't say Slamat and Mubarak and all that stuff. It has died down a lot, but today's generation is, no, it's Eid. So I still have to push that with my kids to say it's Labarang. Anyway, so is that lingo still commonly spoken about, used?
Definitely in the older community.
Okay.
Definitely, they still use those words with the kids when they speak to the kids. Sometimes the kids do want to know, like, what are you saying? Because you know, some of them are rah today. They just use their English, but there's certain words that we still use.
Yeah.
That even the kids use. Yes. Like they will say, where's the gebakte brood? It's not bread. Even though they're speaking English, die gebakte brood and die soutvleis.
Yeah.
So those words are very much still used by the older generation.
Yeah.
And I think I'm glad when it gets passed on. You know, the other day my daughter asked me, Mommy, what is unang? Because somebody told me they're going to come unang me. So I have to explain the whole unang story. But you know what? I said to her, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful that we can still keep that lingo.
Alhamdulillah. And I'm pushing as much as I can, even though my kids are up in Joburg. I want to use kanala and I want to use all those words. Labarang, where's your Labarang clothes? Where's your Labarang shoes? You know, it's still Ramakasi, kanala, all of that. It's just, it makes us, in fact, puasa. You know, I was watching a YouTube video, I can't remember if it was YouTube, but a video of some Malay, I think it was Malay, but she was an influencer, not Muslim. And she's saying that the two of them are talking and having this talk show on, you know, the Muslims in our country now is puasaing. And I'm like, I always thought puasa was Afrikaans word. It's a Malay word.
It's a Malay word.
Yeah.
Yes,
fasting.
Definitely a Malay word, puasa, and you must break your puasa.
Yeah, we're going to break our puasa.
You're going to break your puasa. Full English is the bilal bang, and you must break your puasa.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
All right, Auntie Nadia, let's talk about Eid Day. We know that each country, each community, each race sometimes have their own cultures and their own ways of doing things. What is commonly the practice of the Cape Malay community on Eid Day? But I know off air you were speaking about it's not just on the day.
It's not actually leading up to that day. And there's another word that has not died down.
Okay. Because
even the English-speaking children say we're going to see the maankykers today. So that's where it starts. I mean, it leads up Ramadan. Obviously, it leads up to those you have an absolute hype the last 10 nights.
Yeah.
there's no excuse in Cape Town. You are always uplifted, subhanallah. And then it leads up to the maankykers.
Yeah.
So we have a scheduled maankykers day, and that happens when everybody goes to 3 Anchor Bay with the maankykers. It's a scheduled event. VOC gets the permits and everything to have this event, because there's like over 200,000 people that attend.
Yeah.
And all media houses are there, which includes Hilaal TV. It includes VOC, the radio station, which they are the main organizers at the end of the day. Then people come out there, and some of the people who cannot make it, you go there with your iftar, your picnic basket, your blankets, your musallas, the works. There are people that can't go, they stay tuned to that radio.
Yes.
Their ears are tuned to that radio, because that will depend. Do you take out the boat? That must have to have the gebreide boat for Eid, or do you leave it in the freezer till the next day? You know, do you run off to Woolies and quickly go buy your salads and stuff?
Yeah.
But that's all part of the excitement. We are so used to it. Like people say, how do you do that? How do you wait to know if you're going to celebrate or not?
Yeah.
It's part of our religion.
In fact, there's a tradition in my family where I have to do the pies. So come Lebarang night, the night before Lebarang, Eid, the night before Eid, I have to start rolling out like crazy, making the steak, the mince, the chicken and mushroom, the egg in the pie, all of that. And I'm thinking...
And half the children don't have egg, and so you make half the pie egg, and you mark it that side's the egg and that side's no egg on.
Yeah.
But that pie is there. The traditional pie must be there.
Must stay. Yes. So I know commonly as well, we get ready, also i'tikaf, the men are away, but leading up to Laylatul Qadr, there was this thing my mommy used to say, no, the house must be clean before Laylatul Qadr.
Yes, I remember as a child, before Laylatul Qadr, the 27th night, that floor had to be polished. You had to go on your knees and polish it, houten blokkies, polish it. Candles was burnt during the night. There was no light. You put out the lights. That was the old tradition. And I don't know if there's anybody who remembers this, but me as a child, I remembered fondly that the candles burnt, the house had to shine and polish, and you can't come in by the front door anymore. Achterom, die vloer is gepolish. So it was a big hype leading up to you have your itikaf, you have your Salatul Layls in the last 10 nights, but the 27th night your house must be spotless, the candles are burning,
curtains are changed,
everything is changed, the new doilies come out, the new everything comes out, the brasso is done and everything, and that is how we remember as children. Absolutely. That it was like this is like the spiritual hype for us, knowing that it's almost Eid.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you just smell that in the air, the clean flesh,
the furniture polish, and
the new underwear, the new socks, the clothes that's literally done on the last minute. The mother's still stitching. The traditional food stuff, because now you're saying the boat, which is the leg of lamb. There is the tongue, the salt meat, and then what else is served for the day?
Sout which is the normal like spiced beef.
Okay.
And you buy, when it's Eid, you don't buy sliced spiced beef. You buy that whole piece of sout that gets boiled, and you boil it for a couple of hours, and the next morning you slice it, and it goes on the gebakte brood. Gebakte brood is traditional. Today, people have changed a little bit because they're now ordering the gebakte brood, because there's people in the community that makes gebakte brood now, because they discovered that this is a business. No, not everybody can do that gebakte brood, the working moms and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So even the big pies are now pastei is made and sold for those people who cannot bake them. But they make traditional pastei, I promise you, that lekker steak and kidney, those who like kidney, and those who don't like, they have the steak pies, pepper steak pies with the boiled eggs. If there's no boiled egg in, it's not a Eid pie. So, and then like leading up, you're asking like leading up to that night before, you now know it's Eid tomorrow. The maankykers informed you, it's Eid tomorrow, we've sighted the moon. Everything comes out of the freezer. Right, you take the bride the boat out, gets it defrost, the pies gets rolled out, and you prep your stuff for the next day. So first you will have your Eid breakfast. When the men goes off to mosque, they have maybe a cup of tea and a date. They go off to mosque. While the men are at mosque, you are busy laying that table. The bread goes in the oven. After Fajr already, the bread goes into the oven. The pastry goes into the oven. When the men come back from mosque, it's now a family breakfast.
Okay.
All the kids come over. You decide whose home you are going to go. Your mother-in-law's home or your home. It's either the mother-in-law's home for lunch or your home for lunch.
Yes.
One of the two. You know, the kids all come over. They have tea, coffee, gebakte brood, pastei, and you know, I think people have become so creative today, and I think it's good for the little ones.
Yeah.
People are buying the Eid Mubarak serviettes and the Eid Mubarak banners
decorations.
and the Eid Ramadan
Yes.
banners and stuff, and it's good for the kids. They have a little tent at home.
Yeah.
That's the itikaf tent. The 2-3-year-olds know about an itikaf tent to go into the, and it's branded Eid Mubarak, Ramadan Mubarak, and I think it's beautiful, and even the tables get laid, you know, with the little Eid serviettes and the Eid Mubarak tags, and
oh no,
you
we
know,
didn't have that.
The
Now you can
youngsters
buy
of
it at the
today,
shops,
they
yeah.
are very, very innovative and creative, and they're doing this for their kids to make sure that they instill this in the little ones' hearts as well.
Yeah, because raising children are very different to what
Very
previously
different.
we were just told and we listened and we did. Now the kids are more involved. They ask questions, what, why, and how. So it's important to be demonstrating and instilling it from a young age, because even as young as they are, they're still asking what, why, and how. So alhamdulillah, it is a beautiful tradition that that we have evolved into. I want to touch on to something that I've also heard in the Cape, that often happens in the community here in Cape Town, where just before Eid or when the announcement is made, there is this Jama'ah that goes around to the houses as well.
Oh, yes.
Okay, we'll talk about that just after the short break. More on highlighting as well and thinking about those that are in Palestine, that are in other areas like Rohingya, that silently celebrate, you know, these auspicious days that we take advantage of. Please keep them in your du'as as well, but we'll talk more just after the short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Assalamu alaikum. A very good day to you. And as we just chat up this conversation with Auntie Nadia about the commonly practiced cultural influences that hopefully does penetrate to our younger generation here in the Cape Malay community, as well as, you know, areas where you are from. Is this something that you still traditionally practice, even though you've moved away from Malawi or from an African village or an area that you came from and know, maybe in Algeria, anywhere in the world, in fact. Is there something that you took with you? We'd like to know that as well. Please do interact with us, and we're also very excited to be getting all your Eid messages as well on this beautiful Eid al-Fitr day. So Auntie Nadia, before the break, I've heard conversations around stuff. I think I experienced it maybe once as a child, but there was this, and I'm not sure if it's Labarang or Labarang Haji Eid or Eid al-Adha, that there is this Jama'ah that goes around once the moon has been sighted, or you know that there's this Jama'ah, and they go to each house, whether it was takbir or whether it's just a dhikr, they go to visit.
I think they do more the dhikr.
Okay.
You know, and not specifically in a house. They just like walk around and do the takbir and the talbiyah. And what happens also is the last 10 nights of Ramadan. So these are whole like leading up to Eid.
Okay.
So what we have is we have all these different dhikr jama'as. They go and they allocate themselves to masjids, different masjids, which gets advertised like quite well, because we now in today's times we have no excuse, because technology is there, WhatsApp is there,
you have the notification,
you get that notification, and the masjids will also advise you the last 10 nights, this is our program. We have Qari Nadim here on that night, we have Khudamul Islam there on that night, we have Khulubul Noor this night, which are Nashid groups as well. So what happens is they have their followers, and that masjid is packed that night when that a group is there.
So, Nadia, The spoiled for choices that you have in Cape Town, I know, and was speaking to my husband. He said his brother was telling him that there's so many notifications, like you said, coming out, and you spoiled for choice, in fact.
Choice, and there's no excuse
not to go.
Not to get that spiritual upliftment in the last 10 nights.
Now, what happens with the children? I know we get all dressed up. We have a little bags, go from house to house.
So it's so important. The girls must have a bag. The girls must have a bag with their outfit, and it has to match their outfit. And the big deal is going around to the homes and the families and saying Eid Mubarak and getting money. And I think the big deal with that is, did you fast or didn't you fast? How many days did you fast? And you know, the ones that didn't fast, they're the ones that say they fasted the most days.
Will depend on the amount of money you get.
Like the 2-3-year-olds that don't even know, they're the first ones by the puka table to break their fast, and they eat whole day. They're the same ones that get the most money, you know, on Eid day. And it's such an amazing time for the children because they know that you made sacrifices to fast. And they understand the concept. Even though they didn't fast, they fasted half day, but they understand the concept. And they understand the concept of being like almost inspired to get that money, you know?
For next time, inshallah. Auntie Nadia, so you have some beautiful stories that I'm sure you're going to share with us now with regards to doing your relief work in Palestine, spending your last few days of Ramadan there, and then being there with the various distributions on the day of Eid.
Yes.
And we know what's happening there currently. Let's talk about your experience, why you decided to go, and the lead up to the day of Eid. How is it celebrated in Palestine?
Yeah, it's actually my first year that I'm not there.
Okay.
In a very long time. I spent the last 10 nights of Ramadan in Palestine. It's just the hype there is next level. You know, spending, even though you know you're going to be locked up in that compound from midnight till 4 a.m., they won't let you out. You want to stay in that, because you know the land is sacred. Every spot that you are praying on there is a Sahaba or a prophet that prayed on that ground. So, you know, you just want to spend your nights there, subhanallah. But coming back to the relief work, which is the most important for me, is going there, and I normally have collection links that I have, and going there distributing. So we collect way before Ramadan starts. When I go there in the last 10 days, most of the distribution has happened already. We just do basically mostly the Ramadan Eid distributions. So we go around to the homes. You know, we go to Nakba, we go to Ada camp, we go to all the different camps, and we distribute monies that was given to us by families here in South Africa, as well as monies that was collected on the link, and we go and do that distribution. Last year was a very, very difficult year because it was a couple of months after October the 7th. So there were many areas we could not go into. Many, so sadly we were mistreated by the IDF soldiers. Every corner you take, where you from, the moment, you can say Cape Town. You don't want to say South Africa, so you say Cape Town, or you say Plattekloof, or you say Saudi Estate, because you don't want them to. They know, I promise you, they know. And so it was very difficult. And it's very difficult for me right now, knowing that I'm not there. And even though, you know, you make that change and you make a difference to these families. So what happened last year was, once Eid Salah's finish, you have Eid, you have Fajr, you already go Fajr. You make Fajr Salah, you stay there. You stay in Masjid al-Qibli. There's different sections for the women to Salah, maybe Marwani Masjid, they tell you where the ladies must go, and you stay there for Eid Salah. You see these little Palestine children running around, playing. The families are just happy to be there. The women stay there until after Eid Salah. After Eid Salah, everybody just moves out. They go to their families, have lunches with their families. Some of them travel for 3-4 days to get there.
I was just going to ask, so they're coming from local.
For 3-4 hours to get there. Hours. These buses that go into the villages and come in, and some of them are not guaranteed
able to.
that they can come in. You know, that's the saddest part for me, is they are from there, they cannot come in. So after that they go. So we decided, you know, what are we going to do? We don't really do much on Eid in Palestine. So we decided a couple of days before the time, we're going to just buy a whole lot of toys and take it to the children's hospitals.
Okay.
Subhanallah, it must have been one of my best Eids. Going around to the hospitals, giving these kids the toys, and most of the kids were from Gaza. They were there for treatment. We had cancer, kids with cancer, like 5-6-year-old kids with cancer. The parents stay there in the hospital with the kids. So we were also allowed to give some sadaqah and put it down in the hospital where they receipt it and they distribute it to the moms. And because most of those moms, where do they go? They've got nowhere else to go. And we did, you know, they make the most beautiful Eid plates with all the baklava and stuff in, and we distributed those to the moms and to the fathers. They were dads, moms and dads at the hospital. It was one of my best Eids. I get emotional if I think about it.
Ya Allah, Nadia,
Please forgive me if I do get emotional. Because nobody comes and sees these parents with their children. It's very difficult for them to be there. They can't go back to their homes. They can't go back, and you know, to see the joy on their faces when you walk in, and they just look like somebody cares about us. Somebody cares enough to come to the hospital. And I really mean it when I say it was one of my best Eids. Subhanallah.
It's definitely something you'd like to do again.
I do it annually.
Cause
I do it every year. And this year I'm missing out. I just felt that it's not a safe space for me to go in. Last year was difficult. They closed the airports in Jordan when we left. We were stuck there. We didn't know, are we going to see our families again? But I would do it, close eyes again next time, knowing that these people depend on us.
It was a different experience if I look at your previous years to the one that you decided on the last minute to visit the hospitals. And like I say, you make plans and Allah has better plans.
Absolutely.
And you wouldn't have been able to be sitting here today to tell us the stories to our viewers with the emotions that you just, Ya Salam, you know, had expressed.
And getting a taxi on Eid morning and saying, you know, will you take us? Because it's quite far out. And they are also reluctant because if they pull us off at a checkpoint, they can also be like impounded, or their vehicle can be impounded. So it's that risk that you take with a taxi driver. But knowing that we're not from there, it was a couple of girls from UK and myself and my husband, and they want to take that chance with you, you know, knowing that they are going to help their fellow Palestinian from Gaza, from wherever they are going to help them.
And Nadia, our time has run up, and I think that's just a beautiful ending to our conversation. And shukran so much for sharing that with us. And I don't think, you know, it would have been better planned. I thought we were going to talk about the traditions in Cape Town, and we were chatting about that, and then this came up. Alhamdulillah, just to sit here and hear it and to experience it, I've got cold shivers. So your message, I think, to end off quickly, to those sitting at home, because we do dedicate each show that we are doing here today on Hilaal TV with the message for du'as of our brothers and sisters in Palestine. Would you like to leave us with that message? And then also just, I think, to our Cape Malay community.
Yes, absolutely. I think everybody must have the most amazing Eid today, inshallah. To those people, I know Palestine is close to all of us. There's not a single person that can tell me Palestine is not in their hearts. Those that cannot afford to contribute to causes for Palestine, just make dua for them. Make dua for your brothers and sisters. They need our duas. And sometimes those who can afford to give, we need that more than our Palestinian brothers and sisters.
Absolutely.
We need them more than they need us.
This really touched me, because we don't understand how much, like you said, they just want someone to know that someone cares, because at the moment the world is deaf.
They see you walk in my award.
Yeah.
Subhanallah, you must see the their faces just light up. Somebody cared enough to walk into this ward and take a chance to be here. If you walk into their homes, subhanallah, with
They welcome you,
a box, a Eid box for them to have a beautiful Eid, they cry. They just look at you and they cry. They have nothing else to say but cry.
Yeah. Because that's what I want to do. What do they say? But the reaction alone is enough.
They just cry to think that you are not even from Palestine and that you're there to help them.
Jazakallah for your time. It's such an awesome experience that you shared with us. Hope that Allah grants you the opportunity to have more of those, inshallah, and to the endurance to always to be the vibrant person and community person that you are, inshallah. Jazakallah for sharing your story. Enjoy the rest of your Lebaran with your family.
Shukran. Shukran. Terima kasih. Terima kasih.
Afwan. There we have it. That was Nadia Jacobs from the vibrant, colourful community of Cape Town, the Cape Malay community. Whether it's Boekap, whether it's out in Port Elizabeth, the friendly city, you actually feel it. This was a very special episode today, and I hope that you enjoyed it, and thank you so much for staying with us, and also heartfelt appreciation to our guest for sharing her stories and insights. The Cape Malay community's traditions and customs are absolute testament to the power of cultural heritage and community spirit. We're also grateful for their willingness to share this and expose it to the rest of the world as well, and for Auntie Nadia and her team for doing relief work in Palestine during Eid, her first, like she said, one of her first Eids back in Cape Town, but also highlighting the importance of compassion and humanitarian efforts. Eid Mubarak to all our viewers, and we hope this episode has inspired you to learn more about the diverse traditions and cultures that make up our world a richer and more vibrant place. Do enjoy the rest of your Eid. Wassalamu alaikum and goodbye.